presidents. Hello, I'm Kriti Mehta and you're watching another episode of Explained with me. Today we discuss the multi-layered security that protects US presidents from potential threats of assassination. But why are we discussing this now? US President Donald Trump has recently warned Iran that any assassination against him would lead to severe retaliation, marking a significant escalation in tension between the two countries. Now, this response is following Trump's previous six-man remark for Iran's leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. In an interview, Trump warned Iran that the country would be wiped off from the face of the earth if something happens to him. Trump was responding to the alleged assassination threats made by leaders in Tehran. This came as General Abolfazl Shekarchi, a spokesman for Iran's armed forces, earlier warned Washington not to take any action against the country's supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei. He added that if Trump were to do something to him, Iran would not only cut his hand, but also set the whole world on fire. Meanwhile, earlier Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi issued a direct threat against the US. He warned of firing back with everything they had if Iran came under renewed attack. So with renewed threats of assassination, what are some mechanisms that protect Trump from such threats? The US Secret Service, responsible for the safety of the president, employs multiple specialized units to ensure top-tier protection. The Presidential Protective Division, or the PPD, consists of elite agents who remain in close proximity to the president, ready to attack during an attack. The uniformed division guards key locations like the White House complex, the Vice President's residence, and foreign embassies. There are also highly specialized teams, including the counter-sniper team, which provides long-range observation and neutralizes threats, and the counter-assault team, or CAT, a heavily armed tactical unit designed for motorcade or site ambushes. Additionally, the Emergency Response Team, ERT, secures the perimeter around the White House. Together, these units ensure that the president's protection is swift, comprehensive, and formidable. When a president is supposed to visit a place, security doesn't start once he arrives. It begins long before. Secret Service advance teams arrive days, sometimes weeks ahead of time to prepare. They sweep locations, interview local contacts, and coordinate with nearby hospitals to ensure emergency response capabilities. Once on site, there are two perimeters: the inner perimeter, which is tightly controlled and where everyone is screened, and the outer perimeter, managed by the help of local law enforcement, ensuring traffic is controlled and crowds are monitored. These coordinated efforts ensure that no potential threats slip through the cracks. When the president travels, security takes to the road. The presidential limousine, also known as the Beast, is an armored vehicle capable of withstanding bullets, IEDs, and chemical attacks. It even has a sealed cabin and its own oxygen supply, along with a backup supply of the president's blood type. Accompanying this is a motorcade, a convoy of 20 to 30 vehicles, including electronic warfare jammers to prevent remote detonated bombs, and a control car for senior staff. When air travel is involved, Air Force One and Marine One take to the skies, equipped with flares to divert heat-seeking missiles and hardened electronics designed to survive a nuclear blast's electromagnetic pulse. But much of the president's protection happens behind the scenes, through intelligence and cyber defense. The Secret Service's Intelligence Division monitors thousands of threats each year, investigating individuals who make verbal or written threats against the president. On the cyber front, agencies like the NSA and CISA work diligently to secure the president's communications, including the so-called nuclear football, and protect White House networks from foreign hacking attempts. The Secret Service also has sensors in place to detect chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear hazards, ensuring the president is safeguarded from invisible threats. For high-profile events like inaugurations or the State of the Union, the security level is raised to a National Special Security Event, or the NSSE. During these events, the Secret Service leads the planning with crucial support from agencies like the FBI for counterterrorism and FEMA for emergency management. Military support also plays a role, with the Pentagon enforcing no-fly zones and providing specialized teams for medical or explosive disposal if needed. Together, these layers of security form a complex and dynamic system designed to keep the president safe at all costs. Now, assassinations of sitting presidents are not unprecedented in the US history. 4 sitting presidents have been tragically assassinated. The first assassination occurred in 1865 when Abraham Lincoln was shot by John Wilkes Booth at Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C., just days after the Civil War ended. Booth, a famous actor and Confederate sympathizer, shot Lincoln in the back of the head with a .44 caliber Derringer. Lincoln's assassination was a turning point in American history as it threw the post-war Reconstruction era into chaos, marking the first time a sitting president had been killed. The second assassination took place in 1881 when President James A. Garfield was shot by Charles J. Guiteau at the Baltimore and Potomac Railroad Station in Washington, D.C. Guiteau believed the president owed him a federal job. Garfield survived for 80 days after the shooting, but poor medical treatment, including unsterilized fingers probing the wound, led to a fatal infection. Garfield's death led to the reform of the spoils system and the creation of a merit-based civil service. Then in 1901, President William McKinley was shot by anarchist Leon Czolgosz at the Pan American Exposition in Buffalo in New York. McKinley was greeting the public when Czolgosz, hiding a gun under a handkerchief, shot him twice in the abdomen. This assassination had a lasting impact on presidential security. Before McKinley's death, the Secret Service was primarily tasked with catching counterfeiters. Afterward, protecting the president became their primary responsibility. Finally, the most infamous assassination in modern history took place in 1963 when President John F. Kennedy was shot in Dealey Plaza at Dallas in Texas. Lee Harvey Oswald was arrested for the crime, though many conspiracy theories about a second shooter still persist. Kennedy's assassination was captured on film, the Zapruder film, making it a highly publicized and studied event. It led to significant changes in how the Secret Service secures presidential motorcades. Now, while these 4 assassinations are well known, there are also famous near misses. In 1912, former President Theodore Roosevelt was shot in the chest while campaigning. The bullet was slowed by his glasses case and a 50-page speech in his pocket. Roosevelt, undeterred, continued to give his 90-minute speech before seeking medical attention. Another close call came in 1981 when President Ronald Reagan was shot by John Hinckley Jr. outside a hotel. The bullet bounced off the limo and punctured his lung, but Reagan famously joked with his surgeons, saying, "I hope you're all Republicans." Now, these tragic and near tragic moments in US history not only shaped the lives of those involved, but also changed how America approaches the security of its leaders. Now, an assassination attempt on Trump was also made earlier in 2024. Donald Trump was the target of 2 high-profile assassination attempts, prompting major investigations and a significant overhaul of presidential security protocols. The first attempt took place on July 13 during an open-air campaign rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. A 20-year-old gunman, Thomas Matthew Crooks, fired multiple shots from a roof about 150 yards from the stage. Trump was grazed by a bullet on his right ear but was quickly shielded by Secret Service agents. In a dramatic moment, Trump pumped his fist towards the crowd, mouthing the word "fight" before being rushed off stage. Tragically, rally attendee Corey Comparator was killed while shielding his family, and 2 others were critically injured. The gunman was killed by a Secret Service counter-sniper moments after opening fire. Just 2 months later, on September 15, 2024, a second attempt occurred while Trump was golfing at his Trump International Golf Club in West Palm Beach in Florida. A Secret Service agent spotted a rifle barrel poking through a fence and opened fire toward the suspect, later identified as Ryan Wesley Ruth. Ruth fled but was apprehended shortly after in a neighboring county. Fortunately, no shots were fired at Trump and he was unharmed. Investigators found a GoPro camera and a Dear World note outlining Ruth's intent to assassinate Trump. Ruth was convicted on all federal charges, including attempted assassination. Now, these events led to a crisis within the Secret Service, prompting the resignation of its director, Kimberly Cheatle, following a heated congressional hearing about the security lapses. In response, the Enhanced Presidential Security Act was signed into law in October 2024, ensuring that major presidential candidates receive the same protection as sitting presidents. Trump's security has since been tightened with new tactics, including speaking behind ballistic glass at outdoor events, addressing the vulnerabilities exposed during these attempts. For this episode of Explained, that's all we have. But stay tuned as we bring you more in-depth insights and stories that matter.